Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Bobbles and Berries podcast. It's been a while. Things just got a bit crazy with life and work and family visiting and my husband and I going on a little trip, and I just haven't had time to record a podcast in I think about 2 months. I think it's been 2 months since the last time. Time flies. I'm really sorry about that. The good thing is that today then I have a lot of things to show you, a lot of finished objects, a lot of plans, some acquisitions, whip, everything. So that's very exciting. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Ode and I am coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland. And then if you're coming back, then welcome back. It's really nice to see you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for the nice messages. A few of you messaged me asking if everything was fine. Everything is fine. It's just I didn't have time, I guess, to record a podcast earlier. But we're here now. So let's start. I'm gonna start with just a few shop news. Just to get it out of the way, and then we will dive into the good stuff and all the knitting and a bit of sewing as well. So so regarding the shop, so if you're new, I have a little shop where I make and sell embroidered project bags. I've got one just here. I'm going to show you what it looks like. There it is. The light isn't the best this morning, but you know, not much we can do. So here it is. Yeah, maybe that's better. Those are the kinds of bags that I make right now. And so, yeah, shop news. First thing, which is very exciting, is that I have created my own website. So my shop is now its own thing, sort of. I'm no longer having it on Etsy. Which was a lot of work, but it's also, I think it's been working fine now. It's been up and running for a little bit over a month, and I think it's been working really well. I've really enjoyed it. It's giving me a lot more freedom to do what I want to do, and and also it means that I am no longer using Etsy, which you may have heard. In April, Etsy increased its fees again, and it was just a bit too much. It ended up Etsy taking about 15% of fees on the price of my items, or like the items of anyone who sells on there, which I thought was, and many people thought the same, it's way too much for I guess what we get, because the improvement that they made to Etsy, I don't know, it didn't really do anything for me. Like they said it was to help like advertise and market our products so people would come and find them. But the thing is that I don't think anyone ever came to my shop through an Etsy search. I think most people came through it either through YouTube, like you guys, or through Instagram. And anyway, I'm not going to go into a whole ramble, but I'm not using Etsy anymore. I'm using my own website. I will link to it down below. It's bobblesandberries.com, very simple. And so I have everything on there. And by everything, I mean my bags, and I mean my embroidery patterns that I do, embroidery kits as well, and some new products that I'm going to tell you about in a few seconds. So yeah, it's just very exciting. Speaking of bags, I've also changed the way I update my stock. I think that's how to say it. I'm no longer doing shop updates. So I used to do one shop update every month or 6 weeks or so, and then people could purchase bags then, and then I would make the bag and then send them out and then do another shop update. The issue that I had with that, and that I think a lot of people also had, is that it's a bit stressful because things would sell really quickly. And so it was stressful for people who wanted to purchase who weren't in the wrong time zone, or I mean, not the wrong time zone, but a different time zone to mine, or were working at the time that the shop update happened, and so they couldn't make it, and by the time they could, all the bags were sold out already, and it was a bit stressful for me as well because I had this massive amount of bags to do all at once, and yeah, it wasn't ideal. So with the new website, what I'm doing is that I'm only having a few on the website. Usually it's like 4 or 5 available at any given time, or sort of like I'm listing 4 or 5, and then I'm making them as people purchase them, and then as soon as I'm done making them, I put them back up for sale. So that means that there's no more like stressful shop update, and that means that if you were wanting to purchase a bag, then it is very likely that there would be at least one available. And if not, it would become available again in just a few days. Like you wouldn't have to wait a month or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past month or so. It seems to be working fairly well. It makes it easier for me in terms of managing my workflow. And I think it's also less stressful for you guys who might want to purchase that and don't want the stress of shop updates and all of this. So yes, that is how I'm doing bag orders right now. There are some available at the time that I'm recording this. And yeah, what else is new? Oh God, it's been so long, I'm losing track of everything. Yes, a new product in the shop. In addition to project bags, I now have in my shop some notions pouches, and I'm going to show you. I've only got one design right now, and it's this one. And they're in the same, the fabric is the same as the project bag. So the outside is linen, and then the inside is cotton. And then I've embroidered some daisies on it, and then it closes with a zipper. So this is quite a new product. I only have this design on at the moment, but I am working on creating other designs for it. I don't have a tape measure right now. I can't remember exactly the size that it is, but it fits everything nicely. Like in here I have like stitch markers, I have darning needles, I have tape. Oh, here's the tape measure. I think it's about yeah, it's about 16 wide by 10 tall. And I have my scissors and like all the notions that I use all the time, and it fits them all well, like snugly, like there's not a lot of room left, but also yeah, I just wanted something small and simple to carry all my notions. So this is a new product that is now in the shop as well. There are a couple available at the moment, and yeah, I'm working on more designs for that. And then the next new product, which is not on the website just yet because I'm in the process of making them, and yeah, I'm still in the process of things. So they are stitch markers. So I've got one here that I'm going to show you. I don't think it wants to focus on it. Well, I'll try and put a picture, or maybe you can see it kind of like this. It's a bit far away. There are little stitch markers that are embroidered as well. And yeah, so this one is kind of a prototype. I made it like 2-3 weeks ago, and I've been using it on my own knitting to make sure that it holds well, it doesn't snag on the yarn and anything, and I'm happy to report that it works very well. It doesn't snag on the yarn, it is quite smooth and easy to use. It holds very well, just like I've used it on my knitting, going out and about, traveling, everything, and it's been just fine. And so they are made, so the metal bit is stainless steel, and then, again, it's probably not going to focus, but the embroidery is cotton, like I always use cotton threads, and then the background, the fabric onto which it's embroidered is wool felt, so it's actual wool that is then stuck onto the metal bit. So yes, that's a new thing that I'm really excited about. Now that I know that it's working and I know how to make them, the goal over the next few weeks is to design a few, create a few, and then I'll have them up and ready and listed in my shop, and I will let you know when that is available. So yeah, that's most of what's been going on with the shop and what I'm working on and what new products I have. One last thing that I wanted to show you is a new embroidery pattern that I published recently, which I'm really happy about it. I'm really proud of this one. And it is it's a whole collection of initials. So this is what it looks like. So I've only got a few letters, obviously I haven't embroidered all 26 of them, but I've got this, the A, for example, with like some green and pink, and then an I with like some green and blue instead, and then the C's got some yellow and reds and greens, and then the S right here has got more autumnal more autumnal colors. And yeah, so this is a pattern that I created and published recently. It's just one pattern, but the pattern contains all 26 letters and instruction for all of them, and for all the color schemes. I just wanted people to have a bit of a choice to choose like whatever color they wanted it to be. So it's got the 4-color palette, it's got 26 letters, all the instructions step by steps, just like any of my patterns. They're very accessible to beginners, and yeah, so that's another sort of shop news embroidery pattern release that I'm really happy about and really proud of, and that is now available in my shop. I was actually thinking that I might embroider these onto notions pouches. I think it could look really nice. Yeah, and it would also make like a nice gift for a friend or something, to have like a nice notions pouch with their initials on it. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll see when I'm able to make those. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say about the shop. Now that is sort of out of the way. Let's go into the knitting. So let me get my notes. All right, so like I said, I have a lot of finished object. I'm going to start with what I was talking about in the last episode, and then what I've been knitting since, because it's been so long since I last recorded that I've got some items that I started and finished in between those two episodes. So just to begin with, I'm going to quickly mention what I'm wearing. I'm not going to go into detail about this because I went into a lot of detail about that in my last episode. This is my Farrah cardigan, and I'd said the last time that in the next podcast I would put it on so you could see what it looks like being worn. So there you go. So this is what it looks like wearing it. I absolutely love it. I really love it. My only issue is that maybe you can see the buttons are off center, and that really bothers me. So what I'm gonna do, I know what I'm gonna do, is that I'm gonna remove the buttons and then sew the button bends together. The buttonhole is like pretty much invisible. It's just a yarn over, so it doesn't really show that much. I'm going to sew the button bands together and then sew the buttons in the middle, so it won't really be a cardigan anymore. It'll be more like a jumper, which I absolutely don't mind because I never open the buttons anyway to put it on. I just put it on like a sweater. So yeah, this is what I will do just to fix that really minor issue. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's like, because I think on the pictures in the book the buttons seem fine, so maybe I just misread and did the buttonholes a bit to the side, or I don't know. It's not a big deal. I just need to get around to doing it. I haven't worn it very much yet. Part of it is because it's been a bit warm, and also I love it and I love this yarn so much, but it still smells, even after washing, it still smells a bit sheepy, and I'm a bit worried that it would be too much for people around me, like not knitting people, obviously, because I think a lot of us actually like that smell, but yeah, just people. So I don't know, I might wash it again, or I might just wear it like outside and give it like a good airing, or I might just put it on a hanger outside, and yeah, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, this is what it looks like. So that's my fairy cardigan, and I talked about it in lots of detail in my previous episodes, so you can check this out if you are interested. I am wearing it over a shirt that I made. I think I was saying the other day that one of the issues that I had with this is I also had nothing to wear it with. And so I have since sewn this shirt. It's just a basic white button shirt. I can show you like just normal button, kind of blows up on the camera, but yeah, it's white, it's viscose. Yeah, just a like white shirt, basic. I used 2 patterns to make this one. I combined them. So one that the pattern of a shirt that I'd done before, and then a new to me pattern. And so the first one is called the Hermes shirt by I Am Pattern, and then the second one is the Liseron shirt by Atelier Scamit. Both companies are French sewing pattern company, but all the patterns are available in English as well. And the reason I combined the two is that the fit of the first one wasn't the best, especially towards the back. It was a bit tight when I was like, crossing my arms like this. But the fit of the second one is really great. However, the construction and sewing method of the first one is better. So that's sort of what I'm doing. I'm like using pattern pieces from the second one and then assembling them by following the instruction of the first one, and it's working really well. So this shirt is definitely not the best. Like there's a lot of things that are a bit I don't know, it could be neater, I'm gonna say that, but I'm sort of treating it as a toile, so as like a mock-up to figuring out the best pattern, the best fit, the best size for me. And I think I've done that. And so now I have, I guess, sort of my perfect shirt pattern, and I can make more. So if you can see here, that's a bunch of fabric that I have. It's all cut up. I need to assemble it for another shirt like that. And so, yeah. And I mean, this one is absolutely wearable, right? It's not like, it's fine. I think part of it is also the fabric that I use is some kind of a bit cheap and a bit flimsy white viscose, but it works perfectly to wear under jumpers. So yeah, that's the bit of sewing that I had to share with you today. Moving on to finished object number 2, and that is my drop pullover or drop jumper that I was working on last time. So this is a pattern by Albiona. It's a really nice pattern. Albiona McLaughlin, if you know me, you know that I absolutely love her patterns. And yeah, let me put it on. Let's try and do this gracefully. All right, the white is completely blowing out on the screen. Well, this is what the shirt looks like. And then, all right, I might just cut this off in editing because it's kind of boring to just watch me get dressed. All right, here we are. Okay, so this is what, oh, it's actually quite nice and warm. It's a bit cold today, even though we're in June, but yeah. So here is the drop pullover. I'm just gonna stand up to show you the fit. And so, yeah, so like I said, it's a pattern by Albiona McLaughlin. It is a drop shoulder sweater. So I don't think it's very visible because of the color, but basically you've got like drop shoulders to here and then the sleeves, but it's not constructed in the usual drop shoulder way, I guess. It's knit top down, and it's knit like in the round. I think it's just the first few, some like maybe short rows. I don't really remember what happened around here, but yes, there's just a few back and forth, but then it's all constructed in the round, even the drop shoulder. So it's like there's a thing of like increases here, like a single raglan line if you want, and then like and then some increases for the sleeve. So it's really smart, like really fun construction, especially if you don't like, I've got hair everywhere, especially if you don't like purling very much. I don't mind purling that much. I'm always just a bit concerned when I have to purl or like to knit flat and knit in the round in the same, on the same project, on the same sweater, that like my tension is a bit different and then it shows. But because all of this is knit in the round, obviously that's not a problem. And yeah, I don't think, I can't remember now, it's been a while, but I don't think I did many or any actually really modifications to it, other than oh, I think I caught a stitch here, other than like the length obviously, but you always adjust the length to your sweaters, right? And then to bind off, I think that was the main thing. I just decided, I used just a regular bind off because I was a bit lazy and I didn't feel like doing the whole like tubular bind off or Italian bind off. Also because the cuffs and the hem are 2x2, and that means like rearranging stitches and to make it 1x1 and all this. And like honestly, I couldn't be bothered at that time, so I did like a regular bind off. I think I either did it quite loosely, or I went up a couple of needle sizes to do it so it wouldn't be too tight, and it's working great. Like even at the hem, I no issues putting the sweater on, and it's not too tight or anything. So yeah, that's my drop pullover. For the yarn, I used a woolly knit cone, 100% British wool in the shade navy. And then, so I held that double because the cones are kind of fingering weight, light fingering. So I held that double. And then I also held, in addition, so I did like 3 strands together, some lace yarn by Zakami Yarn. And that gave me sort of like between DK and Aran weight, which is what the pattern called for. A lot of Albiona's pattern fit DK to Aran weight yarn, so yeah, that worked great. I think I knit it on 5mm. I just did what the pattern said. I swatched and it worked, so I didn't change needle sizes or anything. And yeah, and so yeah, that's the other yarn that I was telling you about, the blue yarn by Zakami Yarn. It's her lace yarn in the shade Midori, and it's 50% baby Surrey alpaca, 20% silk, 30% extra fine merino. And it gave off this really nice marled effect, which I'm really happy about. It blocked really well. The lace yarn didn't move very much with blocking. The woolly knit yarn, it fluffed up a little bit, but not, it bloomed, that was the word I was looking for. It bloomed a little bit, but not very much, so, which was nice. And I knew that from the swatch, like that my swatch barely changed at all when I was like washing and blocking it. So, which is nice because then you know that what you knit is what you get in the end. You don't really have to worry about your project being completely different after blocking, right? Yeah. What else do I have to say? I'm just looking at my notes over there. What else do I have to say about this thing? I did the size 2, fit me. Albiona is really good with size ranges, so there's like lots and lots of sizes, but yeah, size 2 was my size. It just followed the instruction 2 pattern pretty much. And yeah, it's one of those patterns that has a lot of options, but again, I've talked about it in the previous episode, like lots of options for different hems and different sleeves and with a hood or without a hood or something. And so I just ended up, I think I didn't do the tapered sleeve. I just went straight down, no decreases, and then decreased at the end and then did a long cuff. which I think is one of the options. And yeah, that's that. It's really nice. It's really warm. It's not super heavy. And yeah, it's a bit too warm for now. And I also tend to wear blue mostly in winter, but it will be a good garment for next winter. I have a fair amount of the navy yarn left, the woolly knit. Not enough to make another garment for me, and I wouldn't make a hat or something like that for me in it because I think it would be a bit too itchy. I'm fine like around my neck or like wearing jumpers, I'm fine, but I'm a bit, my skin is a bit sensitive on the forehead and everything, so I wouldn't be able to use that for a hat for me, but I think I might use it for a hat for my husband because he's not sensitive at all, so I might do that. I also have a lot of that lace yarn left over, and this one is really soft, and this one I can definitely wear next to skin like this. So my plan is to do a cowl called the where did I write this? The Nuala cowl by Vanessa Pelisa. I'm gonna put a picture here. It's a really nice lace, or like a lace pattern cowl, and but I think it's knit in fingering weight, but I have so much of this that I can just hold it double, and yeah, it will be a nice cowl for winter or autumn. But again, like I said, I tend to wear blue in winter mostly. Yeah, like it's a bit silly, but I used to think of myself as not a cowl person, whatever that means. And I was so wrong. Like, cows are the best. I'm just like, I don't like the bulk of scarves or shawl under a coat. Like, I like scarves and shawls to wear like at home when I'm a bit chilly, just over my jumper, over a shirt or whatever. But if I'm going out and wearing my coat or my jacket, like I have one of those like sort of like puffy jacket that is really good for the weather in Scotland, but it also comes up really high, right? Which is really nice to protect your neck. But sometimes I want like a bit of warmth inside, and with the scarf, it's just too bulky. It's sort of choking me a bit, as opposed to with a cowl, it just works perfectly because it's not too tight. It's really warm. It's really soft. So yes, I have now become a cowl person. So yeah, this is what I'll put a picture, or I have put a picture probably already, of the cowl that I'm talking about. And so this is a future plan to use the leftovers of this yarn. Right, I hope I'm not going too fast, but that's the end of finished object number 2, my drop pullover. Really recommend the pattern if you want to try a drop shoulder jumper but don't want to bother with the back and forth and just want to knit in the round. It's absolutely brilliant. Next finished object, I don't actually have it with me, but I talked about it the last time, and it was socks that I was making out of, again, yarn by Zakami Yarn, just plain vanilla sock in their merino silk base, their nylon-free merino silk base in the shade Popcorn Unicorn. And I'm going to put a picture of the finished socks here. They're just vanilla sock with contrasting heels, cuffs, and toes. And what was really fun about those is that the sock set came as a set with one main skein, one main 100-gram fingering weight skein, and then 2 minis. And that means that I was able to get 2 full-sized pair of socks out of them. And by full-sized, I mean I made them, I think I knit 15 rounds for the cuff. I did them cuff down, and then 50 for the leg, and then the foot I did for a shoe size, like my size. So I'm UK like 6.5, or a European like 39-40, and they came out really well. They're incredibly soft. The reason I don't have them anymore to show you is because they were gifted. My mom and one of my aunt came to visit a few weeks ago, and they each left with a pair of socks. So yeah, so they're very happy with them, and yeah, this yarn is amazing. It's incredibly soft. It is the merino content of the yarn is super wash, so you could potentially put it in the washer, although I think I I've washed my socks in the washer on the wool program, and I think that's fine. I don't know if they would go into a regular program, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, the yarn is really soft, the socks are really nice, and the recipients are very happy. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Finished object number 3, just vanilla socks. Finished object number 4, and I don't remember if I'd mentioned it before in the previous episode or not, is a headband, and this is what it looks like. It's the Hydra. I want to say Hydra, but it's probably not right. Headband by Fiber Tales, and this is what it looks like. I absolutely love it. I really love it. This is the back, and I've had my eye on this pattern forever. And if you've seen it, it's the headband, and then there's another pattern that is the matching fingerless mitts, which I really want to do as well. I have a bit of yarn left over, but not enough, so I will have to buy another skein. And yeah, it's amazing. So knitting it was really fun, actually. So you knit it flat, just like a big band like this, and then you join it at the end, and then you have this stitch, which is, I think, a bit of like a trademark stitch for fiber tail, which is those braids that you do by unraveling a few stitches and then knitting them back up a bit differently. And then there's those are some cables, and then I really like that the edge is garter stitch, because it's really stretched. It's nice and stretchy, so it's not too tight on your head. And yeah, there's 2 sizes in the pattern, a narrow one and a wide one, which I think the wide one is supposed to be about 10 centimeters wide, and the narrow one narrower. I did the wider one. I don't think I got exactly 10 centimeters, but I don't really care. It fits me really well, so yeah, I love it. The yarn that I used is John Arbon. So like I said, I'm pretty sensitive around my head when it comes to yarn, and so I wanted something really soft, and I ended up using John Arbon Textile Alpaca Supreme. That's the ball band. God, there's hair everywhere. I swear, like, my home is it's covered in like my hair, the cat's hair, and then yarn fluff. That's just, yeah. Tell me I'm not the only one. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So yeah, I used John Arbon Alpaca Supreme. It's a heavy 4-ply, 333 meters per 100 gram, and then it's 40% superfine alpaca, 40% organically farmed Falkland merino, and 20% mulberry silk. It's extremely soft. It's really nice to knit with. I held it double for that because I think the pattern called for a DK to like worsted weight, and yeah, it worked perfectly. It knit up really quickly. Definitely a super quick project. I think it would be great for gifts as well. I was mildly concerned that it would grow too much with blocking because of the alpaca content, but it didn't. It worked just fine. I think because it also has silk, and silk is a bit less stretchy. I think that sort of balanced it out, and it barely moved with blocking like it did what I wanted. I stretched it out voluntarily, but it didn't go too much. And then what I did that is a bit different to pattern is that I did the twist to close it up. The pattern says just you've got like a long band, and it just says just like sew it together with, I don't remember, like Kitchener mattress stitch or something, which I didn't feel like doing. I also like it when it's narrower like that, by doing this twist, because I usually wear it with the narrow bit in my neck like this, and because I tend to, a lot of the time I have my hair in a braid, then it just like sort of holds it in place, like the braid holds the headband in place, and it doesn't like slide off or anything, and it just fits me well when there's a bit of a knot like this. But you know, like whatever you like best and whatever fits you best. Yeah, this I just like, I don't know, there's plenty of, it's hard to explain like this, but there's plenty of tutorials online. I just sort of like folded the 2 bits and like they're folded like this, and then you like slide them together, and then you just sew them a bit a bit randomly because anyway it's going to be like invisible. So yeah, worked really great. So I think that's all I have to say about this one. Yeah, absolutely love the yarn. Definitely recommend it if you've never tried it. I will use it again for hats and things. I will definitely buy some more of this gray one. Oh, the shade is like gray. I think it's quartz. I think the Alpaca Supreme have names like crystal names. And I think this one is quartz, but it's just a light gray one. And yeah, I will buy another skein or two to make the matching mittens in sometime in the future. Yeah, finished object number something, 4 or 5, I've lost track now. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is a hat. I have been very busy, and it is this hat, and it is a fully ribbed hat. It's quite thin. It is, surprise surprise, another Albiona McLaughlin pattern. It's called the Expanding Rib Beanie. And what is really nice about this pattern is that it comes for various yarn weights. So there's a lightweight version for like fingering to sport. There's a midweight, I think, for DK, and then a heavyweight for Aran, probably. And it's really cool because then like whatever yarn you have, you can choose that. You've got different gauges for different yarn weights, and then like different instructions and everything. So an absolutely brilliant pattern. It's like your basic ribbed hat for any yarn that you can think about. So pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, I did the lightweight version because this is the yarn I wanted to use, and the yarn is that is not the ball band. Actually, I don't think I have the ball band. It's yarn by the Fiber Fox, who's a yarn dyer based in England, I believe, in the UK anyway. And it's her Plumpy 4-ply, I think. I think it's got a bit of cashmere in it. It's really, really soft, and then merino, and then some nylon, I would say. The shade is, what is the shade? The shade is Terracotta Blush, and it's a nice sort of warm pink with a bit of like lighter pink and some oranges or peaches, or yeah, it's a really lovely yarn. It's really soft. It's actually the first, I think it's one of the very first skeins of hand-dyed yarn that I ever bought with the intention of making a hat. And yeah, it's been 2 years, but we've got the hat. Yeah, it took a little, I'm not gonna lie, it took a bit of time to knit because it's 2x2 rib the whole way through. Actually, it's not 2x2 ribs the whole way through. No, it's 2x2 rib. So you start from the brim, right? So it's 2x2 rib for the brim, and then she has a really neat like little, I don't know, trick or whatever, that makes you switch to 2x3 rib for the rest for the head, and but you do it seamlessly, right? You see like the columns are not really altered in any way, and so that's really brilliant. And then you just knit up to whatever size fits you, and then you do a few decreases for the crown. And yeah, I was a bit concerned when I was knitting it, I am not going to lie, because it looked incredibly small. And I know like rib always looks small and everything, but it looked like a baby's hat. But I was like, you know what, I've knit a lot of Albiona's pattern before, they've always worked, so just trust the pattern and you'll see how it works. And the fit is amazing. The fit is absolutely amazing. I did the adult medium size. There's a wide range of sizes, including babies, I think, like down to babies and up to like adult plus or adult large or super large, or I don't know. There's a lot of sizes. I did the adult medium, and yeah, I really love it. Let me put it on, maybe that, instead of just like flouncing it around. Yeah, there you go. The rib is a bit wide, which I really like. And yeah, I don't know how to show you the back of it. It's gonna be weird. I have no idea if you are seeing this or not, so hopefully you are. And yeah, it's extremely comfortable. It is lightweight because it's a thin yarn, but it's quite warm, which I kind of like because it doesn't feel too bulky on the head. And yeah, definitely a lovely pattern, definitely one that I will reuse. I actually don't really mind the ribbing anymore. I used to, and then working on this one, I guess I've just done it so much that now I can do it without really looking. My fingers just like know the rhythm. And so, yeah, I have a few like single skeins of hand-dyed yarn, and that is the perfect project for them. I have a little bit left over, but not very much. I haven't really actually looked at how much I have left over. I wonder if I might be able to do the baby, like the really tiniest size with what I have left over, but I don't know, we'll see. That's a project for another day. So yeah, I don't remember what needles I used. I have everything on my Ravelry anyway, so if you're ever curious about like the yarn again or the needle sizes or anything, it's all on my Ravelry, and I'll put the link down below. I think it was on 2.75 for the head, and then maybe 2.5 or 2.25 for the brim. I can't really remember, but yeah, brilliant hat. I like the color. To me, that's the perfect sort of early spring hat. Again, like I've mentioned it, I think I've mentioned it before, I tend to associate colors with seasons and then wear those colors with the season. So I have my knits and my wardrobe is a bit of a rainbow because I like to have different colors for different seasons, and pink like this to me is definitely a spring color. So this is the perfect sort of early mid-spring hat. I mean, we're in Scotland, right? So it never gets really warm, and you get to wear your hats quite late into the year, like up until probably May or something. I've also worn it on hikes, which if you're familiar with hiking in the UK, you know that you have to pack for all the seasons when you go on a hike, especially when you go up a hill, because the weather can change dramatically at the top. It can be summer at the trailhead and then full on winter, snow, wind and everything at the top. So this has been great for that as well. So yeah, that's another finished object. I don't even know where we at, like number 5, number 6, I don't know. I have 2 more finished objects, believe it or not. The next one, again, I don't have it with me because it was a gift, and it was a pair of socks. Again, a pattern by Albiona. I might sound a bit obsessed by with her and her patterns, and I absolutely love her patterns, and that is kind of true. I work 2 ways with patterns. It's either I see a specific pattern that I love and that's what I'm going to knit, or I'm looking for something to knit, and so I'm looking for a pattern for that, and I'm usually going to look at her designs first to see if I find something that I like, and then if not, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go and look for something else. But I was looking, for example, for this, I was looking for like a basic lightweight ribbed hat, and so I went and looked, and she had a pattern, and that was great, so I did that. The current finished object that I'm talking about right now is a pair of socks that I wanted to knit for my husband for his, oh no, not for his birthday, for our, we do our, what we call our meet-versary. It's when the anniversary of when we met, basically, and we always get each other a little present, and so I wanted to make him a pair of socks, and so I chose the Wave Run socks by Albiona McLaughlin, and I'm going to put a picture here. I've had this specific pattern in my library for a very long time. I really like the little wave detail, yeah, that was just the perfect occasion to use it. I knit the socks in West Yorkshire Spinners Signature for Reply, it's called. I have some left over. This is the ball band. And it's 75% wool and 25% nylon, 400 meters to 100 grams. It might be super wash because it says here that you can wash it in the washer, but I don't know. It's it's not a merino sock yarn, and the reason I chose that is because my husband is extremely hard wearing on his socks, and I feel like the merino nylon don't, like, I'm afraid, I don't know that it's true actually. He's got a pair of socks made of merino nylon and it's held so far, but I feel like it's just a bit too fragile for the way he wears his sock, as opposed to the West Yorkshire spinners. It says wool, and I don't know exactly what kind of wool, but it feels, and it is quite sturdier, but it's also a bit rougher. It's not as soft, which he doesn't mind at all. It's also a bit cheaper than hand-dyed merino sock yarn, which I think is great in this case, because yeah, I don't expect his sock to last for an extremely long time, and so yeah, I think it's just the best yarn for, I find that it's the best yarn for socks for him because of how he wears them. And he wears them all the time, every day in boots, and he goes hiking in them and all of this. Like, they're, like, they see a lot, those socks. So I know this West Yorkshire spinner holds really well. So yeah, so this is the colors that I use that you have seen on the picture. So the main color is called Nutmeg. It's a really nice warm orange, and then the white is just that. It's not, God, it's blowing it up so much. Yeah, it's a sort of an off-white. It's not a bright white, it's an off-white, and it's called Milk Bottle. I barely used any of that, obviously, because you will have seen on the pattern it's just a couple of waves, which is great because then I can use that again. And yeah, I did, so let me think what I did for this pattern. So it comes in 3 sizes. I did the largest one. I think I cast on 72 stitches, which I know is what fits him. I think the largest size on the pattern tells you to cast on a little bit less, and then says that you need to do some increases just before you start the wave pattern to get to 72 stitches because of the pattern repeat and the stitch count. And then once you're done with the wave pattern, you decrease again to go back to your original stitch count. I didn't do any of that. I just did, it so happened that 72 stitches fits my husband's feet, and that the wave pattern works on 72 stitches. So I just did that. I didn't do the increases and the decreases. Yeah, I did the leg, and then I did my usual heel flap and gusset with a bit of garter stitch on each side of the heel flap, and then I did my usual rounded toe. I honestly can't remember if that's the heel that the pattern calls for. I don't think so. But yeah, it's just what I'm used to, what's comfortable, what I don't need to think about too much, and so and what fits his foot as well. So it just worked great. He's really happy with them, and yeah, I can't show them to you right now because they're on his feet. So so yeah, but you've seen the picture. So yeah, that's the one before last finished object to show you a pair of socks. Yeah, really fun pattern. I think I'm gonna make it for myself at some point probably. Oh, and because I have so much white yarn left over, Milk Bottle, what I was thinking I was gonna do is that I also have, if you see here, it's a jar with leftover from my advent calendar from last year. So it's just like, I don't know, maybe between 5 and 10 grams of each. And I wanted to make like scrappy socks and just like, I don't know, like stripe them or whatever. But I kind of can't be bothered to do like a fingering weight one for some reason. And so I think I'm just gonna hold those yarns, double with this, and do like a DK pair of socks. And yeah, use them up that way. I think that will work fine. And yeah, because it's just a neutral color, so it will go with everything. So yeah, that's the plan for that. And moving on to the final, last but not least, finished object, and that is another gift for my husband because it was his birthday yesterday. And it is a hat, another ribbed hat, but not the same pattern as what I'm wearing now. And it's this, it looks huge because my husband is really tall, and so his socks are always like really long. His head and hats and everything are so much bigger than me, but yeah, I swear it fits just fine. And yeah, it's this hat. It's another ribbed hat. It's also a pattern by Albiona, but it's not the expanding rib beanie like I'm wearing now. It's called the tailor's rib beanie. And what's really fun about this pattern, which I've never done on a hat before, is that you start here. So you start at the crown, that's where you cast on, and then you knit down, which I think in that case was absolutely brilliant, because that meant that my husband could try it on as I went, and we could figure out like how long to go. And what happened is that the brim, I cut it short by about 2 centimeters because it would have been too long. So I think for a gift knit it was really great. I made the larger size, and I knit it in West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft Shetland colors, and it's an Aran weight yarn, 100% Shetland wool, 166 meters per 100 grams, in the shade 554 Belmont. Yeah, it's a nice shade. It's like a bit of a cold, it looks warmer on the screen I think, but it's a bit of a cool like burgundy, which is the kind of color that he really likes. And so like I said, you start, it's a 2x2 rib, you start at the top and do some like a new cast on, which I hadn't tried before, and it's really nice. It's a bit fiddly at first, but I find that like whenever you cast on, like the first few rows are always a bit fiddly, so I was fine. And then so I cast on and then started in magic loop, and as soon as I had enough stitches I switched to small circumference. I think I knit it on 5 or 4 millimeters, I don't really remember. And yeah, and then so you do some increases, like you can see the crown, and then you just go straight down, and then you do some decreases, and also go a needle size smaller to do the brim, which is again 2x2 rib, and that's it. And the pattern said to do like a tubular bind off or something like that. I did I think it's called Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and the reason I did that is I guess the finish is not as neat as a tubular bind off, but I think it looks really nice anyway. And the reason I did that is because I wanted it to be really stretchy. My husband's got like shaves his head, he's got no hair, and so he's often quite cold, and that means that he wears hats pretty much all the time, even at home a little bit. And so as you probably know, like if you wear a hat for a long time or anything around your head, it just after a while it just gives you a headache, right, if it's a bit too tight and everything. And so I really wanted it to be as like fitted but not tight as much as possible, and I think we achieved that. So yeah, again, the pattern has quite a long brim, but I think he likes it because it's like double thickness on his ears, or yeah. And so this is what it looks like. Really nice, really squishy. This pattern's only comes with like Aran yarn. It doesn't have all the different weights, but yeah. So there we go. I need to go and get him to model it so I can take a nice picture for my Instagram, which he's actually really like, he's always happy to help. Like he helps me, he's happy to model the things that I make for him, and he's happy to help me take pictures when I need another pair of hands. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about this one. Yeah, brilliant pattern, easy hat, great as a gift, especially if the person is near you, because they can try it on as you go. And yeah. All right, that is all. It's been an hour and I've talked about just finished objects. So yeah, that is all my finished objects. A lot has happened since the last time I recorded, and I've been knitting quite a bit. I'm gonna move on to works in progress then, or work in progress, because I've only got one on my needles at the moment. I bound off the hat, the last hat that I showed you for my husband a couple of days ago, and I haven't cast on anything new since. But I have been working, and I mentioned this in my last episode, on another garment for me. I am I am holding it in one of my bags. It looks a bit like crumpled because it's linen, and that's what linen does. But I've had this one for over a year now, and I'm really happy to say that like they hold so well. And I am mildly careful with my bags because I don't want them to get dirty because I want them clean for pictures, but I also want to use them, right? So, and it's been just fine. Like it's been holding so well. The embroidery's been holding so well. So I'm really, really pleased. Anyway, what's in it is my Friday slipover by Petite Knit. And I think I mentioned in the last episode that I was going to knit that. And so that's what I'm knitting on right now. And this is what it looks like. So I'm not done yet, but I don't think I'm too far because this is, I've got that much under the armhole. So I think I need to go, I don't know. The pattern says to go to 46 centimeters from like the base of the neckband. And I'm afraid that's going to be a bit too long for me. I think I was last night when I measured, I was at 38. So I think I'm going to go to 40, try it on, and see how I like it. And then because you also have to add like 4 centimeters of ribbing at the end, and it's, as you can see, it's knit in broken rib, and that grows a bit. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to do the full 46 centimeters, but I'm just going to knit a few more rows and then I'll try it on. The yarn that I'm using is yarn by Along avec Anna. This is the yarn. Let me show you the yarn first. So I'm holding a strand of merino and a strand of silk mohair, and that's her shade called Tomette. It's like a warm, like a very warm pink, which I absolutely love. Quite different from this. It looks almost orange to this, but yeah, I think it looks fairly true to color on the screen right now. And this is the ball bands. So that's the merino one, and then the silk mohair. And so I'm going to read you the specs. So the merino one is 100% superwash merino, traceable, non-mulesed. I never know how to say that. 200 meters per 50 grams. And then the silk mohair is 72% fine silk mohair and 28% mulberry silk, 210 meters per 25 grams. Yeah, it is lovely, lovely yarn. It's incredibly soft. And if you know me, you probably, and if you've watched my podcast for a while, you would have noticed that I don't really use mohair that much. I find it a bit itchy. I also have trouble with the fluff around, like it gets in my nose, it makes me sneeze, it gets in my mouth. I find it not very pleasant. But I really wanted to try, my thinking was that maybe I'd been using a bit sort of like the cheap mohair, and I was wondering if maybe the one that's a bit more expensive and nicer quality would be different for that, and I think it is. This mohair is incredibly soft. I've tried my slipover on before, and having the neckband right next to my neck was completely fine, and it doesn't shed very much, which it's quite surprising, but it doesn't shed as much as some other mohairs that I think I've only used like the drops mohair, but yeah, it's just really lovely yarn, and highly recommend that you try it out if you haven't yet. And Anna's got a bunch of colors now. She released 3 new colors quite recently, as well as a DK base. So yeah, really lovely yarn. I really like it. I would say that I've heard anyway, that it's very similar to Knitting for Olive in terms of softness and quality. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. And so this has been so much fun to knit. So you start at the top. There's no short rows, so you just cast on like straight line over like the neck and the shoulders, and then knit down to the underarms with some increases to shape the armhole. And then at the front, you just pick up stitches on either side, knit down back and forth until you can join at the neck, and then knit down with some shaping here until you can join with the back under the arms, and then you just knit in the round until the end. You're also then picking up stitches for the armholes and the neckband. The neckband is folded, so I think it says in the pattern to like knit the neckband, cast it off, fold it and sew it. And what I did is that I knit the neckband and then bound it off as I was folding it. So I folded, like I picked up stitches on the first row inside to bind it off, so I don't have to sew it. And because it's knit sort of more than, I mean, it's not knit, but I think it's just a bit stretchier than if it's sewn. I think Petite Knit has actually a video on her Instagram somewhere where she shows how she does that, and I think I think she binds it, or like she picks up a stitch from the base of the neckband like every other stitch or every 2 stitches, and so that means that it like has a little bit of stretch, and it fits really well. She says to put an elastic inside the neckband too, so it doesn't lose its shape. I haven't done it yet. I'll see after washing if I feel like doing it or not. And yeah, I've done the armholes and the neckband before finishing, whereas the pattern says you do it at the end. The reason I did that is because like I thought, and I think I was right, that the neckband and especially the armholes, because you don't pick up 1 stitch per row, you do it a bit less, and also it's ribbing. I think it's bringing it up a bit, which is absolutely fine. But then I wanted to have all this finished when I try it on and decide how long it is, because if I don't do that, I was afraid that I was going to knit it to a length that I wanted, and then I would do the armholes that would bring everything up a bit, and then it would be too short. I don't know if that makes sense, but also because when I finish the body, I like things to be just finished. So I don't want to finish the body, spend God knows how long doing a tubular bind off on the hem, and then have to do again pick up stitches and bind off and everywhere. So yeah, I think it's just my way of how I like to knit things. Yeah, so I think that will be finished very soon, and I will show you the next time. I'm really excited about that. It's a nice pattern. She also has it as a V-neck, and I'm going to finish this one, wear it for a bit, see how it wears, see how it grows, because like I said, broken rib actually grows quite a bit with washing and with wearing. And then if everything is fine, then I'll probably eventually do the one with the V-neck. I think it will look really nice too. So right, anything else I wanted to say? I'm doing it on 4mm needles, which I think is what the pattern called for. I got gauge. I feel like I'm becoming a bit of a looser knitter, because I used to be such a tight knitter that gauge was always off for me, to the point that I had to, I couldn't just go up in needle sizes. I just had to pick a different size and do all sorts of math. But the past few things that I've swatched for, I've got gauge every time, so it's really nice, really happy about it. So yeah, I'm doing it on 4mm, and I'm doing the size small. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I'll show you next time. Hopefully it will be finished. All right, so that is my one and only whip. Soon to be finished, hopefully. I'm gonna have a little drink of water because I'm kind of thirsty just from blabbing. All right, and then I hope I'm not going too fast. And the last bit that I wanted to talk to you about were sort of acquisitions and future plan. As I've just said, I just bound off the hat, finished the hat for my husband, and now I only have that slip over on my needles, and I like to have 2 or 3 projects on at the same time, like different kinds of projects, like a garment or something smaller that's easy to carry around, something a bit mindless. So yeah, so acquisitions and future knitting plans. So like I said at the beginning, my husband and I went on a little trip, and that was last week, and we went to Dublin. And I had been to Dublin before, but I wasn't knitting at the time, so I didn't go around to the yarn shops. And so I thought this time I would, and I looked it up, and I found This Is Knit, and I'd heard about it, and I know it's a great shop, and so this is where I went, and this is where I got some yarn. So I'm going to show you what I got, because it's really exciting, or I'm excited about it anyway. So I wanted, because I was in Ireland, I wanted to get Irish yarn. It's not that it's super difficult for me to get Irish yarn, like either to find it from UK store or to have it shipped from Ireland. Even with like Brexit and everything, it's usually fine, but I don't know, like when in Ireland, just buy Irish yarn, right? And so this is what I got. I wanted to get a mix of like hand dyed, and then hopefully something from Irish mills or spun in Ireland or something. And so the hand dyed that I got I got two skeins. I got these two, and so the first one is Life in the Long Grass. It's quite a popular brand. I think I'd heard of it quite a bit. I'd never gotten any yarn from them, but they had it at This Is Knit, and so I bought this. This Is Knit, by the way, is like, I think it felt to me like it was the only yarn shop in Dublin, which I'm not sure I'm right, because it's such a big city that there's bound to be another one, but it's the one that is in the city center. It's absolutely beautiful. They've got lots and lots of things. They're located in a really cute, sort of like inner courtyard or something, with lots of little cute cafes and little shops, and it was absolutely brilliant. If you go to Dublin, you absolutely have to check them out. The ladies there were so nice. Yeah, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And so the first skein that I got is Life in the Long Grass in their base Moon. It's this nice color. The colorway is called Hearth, and it's some oranges and golds and warm pinks and some little flecks, and it is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk. So technically I could make socks with that, I think. It's 365 meters per 100 gram, so fingering weight, like fingering sport, something like that. But I think what I will do is either make maybe another one of those hats or make a cowl. I think I will make a cowl. I will also make a cowl probably with the second skein that I got, and then the color just really doesn't show. It's a really like deep, vibrant like teal, like dark teal. Blues never show on camera for some reason, and it is by yeah, it's blowing up. Oh, there we go. By Townhouse Yarns, and that is a dyer based in Ireland, in Dublin, I believe, actually. And this is her Terra 4-ply base, 60% superwash merino, 20% silk, 20% yak, 366 meters per 100 gram. So also like a fingering, heavy fingering. And the shade is called Cloak, the colorway. And yeah, I will also make a cowl with this, I think. Because it turns out I don't actually have any that I've knitted myself, even though now I've decided that I love them. So yeah, I just don't really know what pattern yet. So if you have recommendations of cowl patterns for like solid-ish yarn and for like heavier, like variegated kind of yarn, then please let me know in the comments below. That would be great. Yeah, so I got these two. These two were the hand dyed in Ireland I got. And then I got myself some Donegal yarn. If I show it right side up, it's better. It's by Studio Donegal, which is I think a mill. It's spun in Ireland, and this is not hand dyed, I don't believe, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'd heard of Studio Donegal before. I've been wanting to try the yarn for a very long time. I hadn't really put the effort into finding who stocked them in the UK or anything like that, but they had it in the shop, and so I actually got a sweater's quantity of this. So I'm gonna try and, yeah, maybe if I do like that to show you the color. It's a nice sort of medium gray, and with like a bit of a tweed effect. It's got like little flecks of brown and cream and black. It's kind of a warm gray. It's absolutely beautiful. It's an Aran weight, approximately 190 meters per 100 grams. And It's the soft Donegal base. They have a lot of different kinds, and this one is soft Donegal, and that means that it's 100% merino, which should be quite soft. It feels quite dry, which I think is what merino feels like when it's not superwash. And I'm like, yeah, I'm really happy. Really beautiful. I got to see a sample knitted out of that, and I think there's an orange colorway, and it blooms a lot with washing, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And what I'm gonna make with those, I'm gonna put a picture, is the guilloche jumper by Albiona again. Yeah, it's sort of like an Oliver, like kind of simple, but really nice cable jumper with a split hem. So I'll just put a picture again. Yeah, so I've got 6 skeins of that because the pattern says that for the size I want to do size 2, I think is what is going to fit me, and I needed 600 grams, which is a lot of yarn for me. I usually get by with like about 300 grams to do a jumper, but obviously this is like all of the cable, so it uses up a lot of yarn. It's like cable and ribbing and all of this, so fair enough. I got 6 skeins and it's really beautiful. And also because it's merino, if I have some leftover, I feel like I could make a hat for myself and be fine because I'm not sensitive to merino. So yes, this is another yarn that I got, and I got 6, oh my god, hair. And I got 6 skeins of that. I am not gonna work on with any of these yarns, just of these yarns, I guess, just yet, because I have other projects that I want to work on. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, sorry. Yeah, whew, sorry. Yeah, I have other projects that I want to work on first, but this will be cast on really soon, and the hand-dyed yarn, and not like whenever I find the right pattern, I guess, and whenever I need like an easy, like a small project. So what I'm going to cast on very soon, as in probably this afternoon, is 3 things. First of all, a pair of socks that I am making for my mom. And I've only wound the yarn. I'm going to hold them in this bag, which is, I showed you at the start, it's one of my bags, with the bumblebee. And I'm going to use this yarn for it. It's a nice light blue, kind of semi-solid yarn that I had in my stash. She picked it when she was here visiting. It is yarn by Sherry Iris. This is her tag. It's a sock weight, 400 meters per 100 grams, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is called By the Sea. It's just your standard sock yarn. I've used a fair amount of Sherry Iris sock yarn in the past, and they're really great. I really like them. And so in this blue, I am gonna make these socks. I was looking for sock patterns on my Ravelry and everything, and the one that I'd first seen that I liked, I would have had to buy the patterns, which is fine. But then I was like, how about I use some of my books, because I have a lot of books and all of them have sock patterns in them. And so yeah, I went and I found this pattern from Making Stories issue 6, fall 2021, and they're called the Orage. I don't think you would say orage, because I think it's definitely like she picked a French word on purpose. But and there's the sock, which I kind of like, because I wanted something a bit mindless, but I didn't want to do just a vanilla sock. And so the cuff bit is kind of interesting. Like, it has got a chart and then some like rib and cable and like a nice pattern. And then once that is done, everything else is stuck in it. The construction is top down, so the construction is like, I'm used to that. So yeah, so that's something that I'm probably going to cast on this afternoon. I'm going to do, there's a lot of sizes actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sizes, which is really good for a pair of socks. It's not often that we see that. And the smallest size has 63 stitches around, and I usually do 64, so I think I'm just going to do this one. 63 is probably what is needed for the chart. So yeah, I'm just going to do that, and that's the book that it came out of. Yeah, it's the Making Stories of last autumn 2021 issue 6. So that's one thing that I'm going to cast on really soon, like this afternoon or tomorrow. Another thing that I'm going to cast on is, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think that's what I'm going to do. It's called the Nelta, I don't know, shawl by Albiona. I'm gonna put a picture here because I don't really know how to say it. And I'm gonna cast it on in this yarn, which again, God, yeah. So this yarn is yarn by Zakami Yarns. It's one of the yarns that I got. They did a monthly yarn NT club subscription, and this was the last colorway for May. They have now stopped for the summer, and I think they'll resume that yarn NT club in the autumn, like October, November, something like that. And so every month you would get a yarn. The colorway was a mystery, but you could choose your base, and then you would get a little bag of tea. It was absolutely brilliant. I did it from February to June this year because that's sort of when I found out about it, and I will definitely do it again, subscribe again whenever it's back. And so this colorway is called Patience. I'm going to show it again. It's like a very light pink with some like orange and some greens in it. Very lovely color. And the base that I chose is a base that I've never worked with before, and it's 38% baby alpaca, 25% merino, and 37% Pima cotton. 100 grams is 400 meters, so it's very fluffy, but it knits up apparently as a fingering weight, and it's all non-superwash. So it's very fluffy, very light, and so I think I'm going to make that shawl that I was just telling you about. And the reason I chose this pattern is because I'm going to a wedding this summer. It's in Bulgaria, so it's going to be warm, but it's also by the sea, so it could be a bit cooler and windier in the evening. And so I wanted something like a small shawl just to like throw on my shoulders if it gets a bit cool, especially the wedding is going to be outdoors. So yeah, I thought that was the perfect yarn for it. I have it now on my twister, which I've talked about as kind of like this tool where you can like hold your yarn like this and then you like knit as you go. And that means that you have to pull from the outside. You can't really pull from the center, which is great. This is definitely what I'm going to do with this one, because if you see the fiber, it's like very fluffy and it like sticks to itself a lot. And I don't know, but I don't think that you could really pull from the middle once it's like really wound together and really tight. I think it wouldn't work. Oh, I've got fluff in my eye now. So yeah, I'll just hold it onto that and then knit away. Yeah, so this is my plan. This pattern is designed for either one skein of fingering weight or 2 skeins of DK. So yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'll just use all of it, hopefully, or most of it, and then yeah, I'll let you know how this goes. I think the name of the pattern, like Nelta, I don't know. I think it's Irish or Gaelic or something. It means cloud, and so I thought it was fitting when this yarn looks like a cloud, or like cotton candy or something like that, candy floss. So yeah, that's the second project that I'm going to cast on very soon. And then the last one that I'm going to cast on very soon is, I think this one I'm going to cast on as soon as I finish my sleepover, is it's called, I'll put a picture, it's called the cinnamon jumper by Teti Lutzak. I haven't knit any of her patterns yet, but there's a lot of them that I like a lot, and so I plan to knit this one, and I'm gonna knit it. I've got the yarn all caked up. It's again one of my bags. I'm gonna knit it in woolly knit yarn. So this is just cakes that I've wound from a cone. It's a nice like foresty, dark, warm gray. Not green, sorry. And it's got a bit of like gold in it somehow, like maybe the different parts of the wool didn't catch the dye the same way. Anyway, it's a really, really nice yarn. The pattern calls for DK. This is fingering, so I'm going to hold it double. And I swatched yesterday, and this is what it looks like knitted up. I don't know if you can see anything. Oh, maybe like that. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite nice. It actually bloomed quite a bit when I washed and blocked the swatch, like a lot more than the navy that I used for that, even though it's the same cone from the same brand. So maybe it's just the dye does different, that reacts differently, or I don't know, but it's really nice. I have to, believe it or not, I have to size down in needle sizes. The pattern calls for 4.5 and I have to do a 4 to get like somewhat correct gauge. And yeah, this is going to be on my needles very soon. I absolutely love this pattern, and also I'm very curious about the construction, because from what I understand, like you cast on, so it's got a textured yoke, right? So you do a provisional cast on at the bottom of the yoke, knit up, and then you pick your stitches and knit down. And I think that's kind of cool. That's really cool. I'm really excited to try this out. So yeah, that's next on my needles, and I will show that to you the next time, and hopefully the next time won't be 2 months from now, and so they'll probably be works in progress and not finished objects. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say for today. I'm gonna leave you here. It's quite a long episode, so hopefully that's okay. And thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all the lovely comments that you've left in on previous videos. I've done my best to reply to all of them, and I hope I have. If you want to find me elsewhere, I'm on Instagram as well. This is where I'm the most active, so you can follow me over there. Everything is linked down below. All that I've talked about is also linked down below, and if you have any questions, obviously feel free to message me or leave a comment or message me over on Instagram. That's absolutely fine. Until next time, have a lovely day, a lovely time, happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will see you soon. Bye!